Hello. So, let's see. I'm just getting my notes together. Let me pop up the chat. Hello, everyone. So this is the list of some of the topics we're going to be talking today. I was going to blab a little bit about the motion capture, but maybe I won't, because this is pretty long. I don't know if we'll make it in time for all this stuff. And there's actually even more stuff I had planned, and then I usually overplan a lot of topics, and worst case scenario, you always have something to talk about. So there's this list is not limited to this. There's even more, but I had to cut back somewhere. These two, I'm guessing we're not going to have time. I'm not even sure if we'll have time for this one. Hello, everyone. Hi. So welcome to today's live stream on KineFX, something that I'm very, very excited for. Small 2 cents, I guess. I was actually doing a procedural animation way before even KineFX started. So when KineFX came out, I was like, oh, this is amazing. Let me see if I can pull it up. Should have. I was doing this, let's see, pull it to the other screen. So I was doing all these like procedural animation, and this is all done with like a sine wave. So, and I was remapping this manually using, if memory serves me right, we're using some attribute transfer node and some weird near point vex wrangle, all in a weird combination of all that just to get something moving like this. But now with KineFX, it's like all you need is a bone deform. I think it's called the bone deform node, right? Let me yes, the bone deform node, and then that'll just like do all that for you for free. All you have to do is like set up the bones and all that stuff. Like, but this, what I did here, the sign, this is like completely procedural. Like you don't even have to, you don't need an animation, you don't need motion capture, you don't need keyframes or anything. It's completely procedural. It's all driven by the sine wave. So this is something I'm really trying to drive towards, like even more procedural, push it even further. But KineFX is definitely makes this closer to achieve, and faster too. So that's just something I'm really excited about with KineFX. There are something I need to clarify. So some of the animations I shown in the trailer, like in this trailer for tonight's KineFX special. Now these animations are things that I pre-bought online, so I can't share the ones that I bought, but I can share the ones that I made with my Kinects. So this one I bought. So this is one of the things I'm going to be covering tonight, is that we're going to start with a normal animation, and I'm going to show you how you can add some noise to it to create a different kind of animation. So this could be someone like sinking down in a quicksand trying to get up. So he's trying to go up, and all I did was add displacement to the point. So he kind of he's kind of going down and up. So he could be slipping on a landslide or quicksand. And in this case, I just used a vellum balloon to show you how his motion and procedural noise that I added to the animation is making the ball bounce a bit. So these animations are more complex and more production quality. The ones that I made are like this handshake. I can only do simple animations with my Kinects, but at least I own those, so I can actually share them and distribute them. So it's more simple, but I think it's suitable for educational purposes and to follow along with the tutorials. Also wanted to, right, so this is like, yeah, this is where it is. So this is what I did with my Kinects. The low budget, even that, it's so noisy with the Kinects. Ah, it's so bad. So what I do is I bring in the motion capture, bring it in to Blender and manually clean the keyframes one by one. Well, not but one by one. You clean a bunch of them where noise is at, and you can smooth it a bit. And I'll tweak the animation a bit more to sell the look a bit, but it's a lot of work. Like these ones are these are bought online, so they work so easy. All you have to do is just plug it in. Given that you set up your skeleton and you rig your character properly, all you have to do is slap it on, and it's so much easier. No cleanup of keyframes necessary. Like these are so much easier. Oh, and this character was made in character creator by Reallusion. So I can't share this character either. So there's so much limitations with the licenses. It does help with the workflow to speed things up by using the software. I can speed up my workflow, and then because if you imagine every tutorial I have to build everything from scratch, it would take forever. I would never get anything done. So it does help me speed up the workflow. I do have a lesser quality character that I can share with you. It's suitable for tonight's purposes, like for educational purposes. I do intend of improving it to make it a little better. So let's start by bringing that in. I'll show you what I mean. It's not glamorous, but it'll get the work done. Okay, so this is the character by Reallusion. So we're going to be using this tonight just because it's pleasant to look at. The one that I made is not as fancy. So it was very plain. You have the main body parts. You got your 4 limbs and a head. I intend to improve this slowly, week by week, and then slowly sculpt in all the facial features and muscles, add clothing, and we can even simulate clothing over time. So it will become an asset that I slowly improve, just like how I have the procedural city generator asset. I slowly improve on it, and that asset is exclusive for members only. So if you have like the perk 1 or perk 2, you'll get access to all the HIP files and all the HDA files. Let me see if there's any questions. So if you have any questions, just shoot them out and then mix them out. I should actually do that. There are a lot of animations out on Mixamo. Yeah, I should have did that actually, rather than suffering through the Kinects. I have used Mixamo. I don't know why I didn't do that. I guess I got so excited with the doing the whole mocap to KineFX. I should have did that actually. Okay. So if you have any questions, just shoot them out in the comments here, and then I'll get to, because then when I look, I'll keep looking at the chat every so often, and then I'll answer it faster. Just move this over. Okay, let's just get started because we have a lot to talk about. So let's start by rigging the character. So let's rig this one because it looks a lot better. Now I do have my notes on cheat sheet on the other monitor. So rigging a character does take a bit of time, so I'm gonna try and do this really quickly, so it won't be super accurate, but I wanted to show you how to rig it live. That way, I think it's beneficial. Let's just call this. Okay, now let's bring in our character. Gonna bring in the Toon Boy. Cool. Now with KineFX, just gonna close this down. Okay. Now we need to rig this character. So right now it's just geometry. There's nothing else. There's nothing else attached to this guy. KineFX gives us a lot of tools. Now, here, we have all this to our arsenal. I'm not going to talk about every single thing here, just whatever we need to get it rigging and to get it animated. So let's start by adding a skeleton. Now this, I need more of the viewport. So let's, more real estate. Let's close this too. Okay. Template the character so you can actually see him, and then okay, I'm just gonna put it more here. Here, put the render flag here. Select this node. Come over here with the mouse on the hovering over the 3D viewport. Press enter. So you can see the mouse has changed. You're gonna get a new widget. Now pay attention to what you see down here on the bottom of the 3D viewport. They're gonna have like these messages, instructions. There it goes. This instruction. So it says click in the viewport to draw or extend a joint chain. Shift left mouse button to start a new chain. Middle mouse button to perform selections. Enter to change mode. And what they mean by change mode, so if the mouse is still here and you press enter again, the mode changes. Okay, let's just do something first. I'm going to click this and I'm going to draw a bone. So this is a bone. And then I'm going to draw another bone. Oops, I made a mistake. So press enter. Choose the bone. Say this was supposed to go to the shoulder or something. Select it, left mouse, click this, and then come over here, check this tweak button. And then what I will usually do is freehand it, or what is helpful is that you turn on this magnet point. So right over here in the screen, on the left side of the 3D viewport, there's like the toolbar. Choose the magnet with the little sphere on it. That's like snapping it to points, point snapping. So choose that, and you can see that it's going to give you this radio overlay of all the nearby points. So if what this will do, it'll snap it to these points on your character that we have templated. And this is extremely helpful to get it in the proximate area that you want. However, that's not enough, because if you go over here, actually that worked out because it snapped to the shoulder. But say if you were working with the chin, and I'm trying to put this on the chin, you come over here. Well, that still worked. Okay, I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to make it go into the wrong place here. Okay, it seems to be working well tonight. Usually when I did it the first time, this would snap to the surface. It was like driving me nuts. Right now it's snapping to correctly. I think it's because view based. It's probably because I had this on the view based. I probably had surface selected by accident the first time. Okay, so what I had trouble with was if I had that, it would snap to the surface, and it was like driving me nuts like that. So I could switch back and forth and then go freehand. Oh, if you go to freehand, remember to turn this off. Remember to turn off the point snapping. Then you can freely move the point to wherever you want. So, okay, let's go back to view based. This is probably handy. Yeah, there you go. Oh, there we go. See? It goes. Now, I thought I put it over in the right spot. Now this worked. If we move it over, it ends up on the bottom here. So that's where the point snapping comes in handy. There we go. And stuff like that. Okay, since we have this started, let's just what I usually do, front view it, do something approximate. Okay, we need a chest. Let me look at my notes. I have chest, torso, and a chest. Okay, torso, chest. Okay, now we have that in the correct position. Now remember, we need to change the mode back. Now that's down here. We're in change mode. What I want to do is create another bone to continue the rigging process. You have to press enter, and look, the bottom changes again, and you're gonna get this nice extension of the bone. So we can continue this. There's the neck. There's the head. Okay. Now I want this to be to start a branch from here, from the chest. So you hold down Control on the keyboard and click, left click or mouse click. Yeah, mouse click. Middle mouse click it. Left middle mouse click it. There you go. Middle mouse click that, and it'll select this bone, and then we can start branching off of this. Now let's put it on the shoulder. Oops. Elbow, wrist, and hand. Okay. Let's do this again for the other side. This. Okay, I'm almost click. I'm just gonna check. I'm gonna select this. Let's do the thigh or hip, and then knee, and then ankle. Push it up. And that's the foot. Now the foot will need some adjustment. Middle mouse click. The thigh, knee, ankle, foot. Okay. That's pretty fast. Now let's fix it up a bit. It's perspective. So the chin, that one got like way out of line. Let's remember to change the mode back. So press enter. Now we're in tweak mode, I guess. Oh right, I forgot this. Freehand, snap off. So you can tell this is quite tedious. So it requires a little tweaking. So you have it does take a bit of time. It's not great. I'm not gonna. I gotta stop. Okay, because we have a lot to cover. Yeah. Okay. Let me just do this. Like, I don't know how this is gonna. Oh, let me do the foot first. Fix that up. Okay, let's go with this, and then I may replace the skeleton later on with the one that I took a little bit more time to tweak. But let's go with this and see how far it gets us. I think the binding won't be as great just because the bones are not aligned that well with the mesh. Now the next thing is you want to name these bones. At the beginning, I kind of skipped over this step, but it didn't work out that great. So naming it is quite important. It's also, it makes it a lot easier to read later on when you map these points or these bones to your animation bones. So it makes it a lot easier to read. Okay, there we go. Now what I'm going to do is I know it's already there, but now it's closer to the 3D viewport. Okay, let's just choose this. So just click this. Sorry, I should begin again. Okay. Once you drop this name node down, what it does, it names these bones. So you take this and you create number of namings. So drop down a few of them, 3 of them. Okay, come over to the first one, group. Now, this is, I'm going to use points. So come here and we can select a point. So it changes color and then press enter. So the point comes over here and this is going to be head. I don't know why this disappeared. Oops. That's why. Okay. This would be like the neck. Come here and this is neck 2, I guess. Okay, you know what? I'm not gonna name all of them. I'm just gonna grab my cheat sheet. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I'm not gonna do this because to save on time. I mean, I kept it back. I'm just gonna copy what I had over here. Oops. So I do have a match size here because at the beginning I was trying different meshes. So my original skeleton is a lot larger. And this is not updating. Okay, match. This will match it down. Template. There. It's a little bigger. I guess we can just keep that. We don't really need this. Template. Let me just double check it one more time. Yeah, it matches pretty well. So say I start, now I have 2 skeletons here. I'll explain why. Now say I start doing all this and then I'm all done, all finished the naming and all this stuff, and I see like, oh, there's like this this bone right here that's like slanted and I wanted to fix it or something, or I see something that's wrong. It's like, oh, I already named it, and then if I break the hierarchy down here, and it's going to change some of the points, or if I wanted to do something and it's going to change the points and I don't want to completely destroy the skeleton, you can always add another skeleton. You can add another skeleton node down. So it's completely procedural in that way. So you don't have to, it's completely non-destructive that way. You don't lose your previous work, even though there was mistakes onto it. You can still keep that as is and just throw on another skeleton. And what you can do here is come here and then just enter, and then you can literally just change it on the fly. You can see why that I needed this. I'm just going to keep this here. All this does is just matches the size. Just gonna sorry, just fiddling around with something in the back. 1 second. Okay. Oh, this. Okay, we don't need this. I don't need this either. That'll actually come in later on. So, all right, let's continue that. Enough of that. So we have a skeleton. Now we have to make this mesh into, we have to capture the bones for this mesh and build the attributes, the bone capture attributes that Houdini requires. Otherwise, the bone deform node won't know how to use this mesh. And what we do is we drop down a bone capture lines. And what this node does, it converts these skeleton lines and it converts it into it converts the skeleton bones into lines, and it gives up a lot of bone captured data down here as well. So this is where our naming was, and the naming, you come down here, the points, and all our names are down here. This is the neck and all that stuff that I did before ahead of time. Let's take that out. This bone capture lines will give us all this, the bone capture data. So I believe it tells all this is like the hierarchy data. Now we're gonna use this and drop down a tet mesh, tet conform. Usually you use this for fem simulations to turn a mesh into a fem geometry. Just give it a second, it'll have to cook. Or actually, I don't need to cook that. Put your character and feed it into the left input of the tet conform. The right input of the tet conform, we're gonna feed in the bone capture line data. And let it cook for just a second. And I'm just gonna check the chat. Okay. Okay. So it does change the, I believe it changes the topology a bit. Yeah, it does. It changes the topology a little bit. It gives us, this turns it into, it modifies our mesh. So if we look at what it looked over here, and I'm just going to wireframe this, I'm going to look at the points. Oh, okay, I'm going to turn down the size of the points because it was way too large. Okay, now I'm going to look at what it looks after we apply the tet mesh. I don't know if you can see, there is like points inside the mesh, going inside the mesh. There's a lot of wires inside. There's actually mesh, interior mesh, as opposed to this is all on the surface. So it's sort of like that scatter node. Sorry, this is not scatter. This is the geometry on the surface, because there's nothing inside. This creates a solid geometry, a tet mesh. Basically, we'll have geometry inside as well. I wonder if there's a way to illustrate this a little better. Let me clip this. I think that'll illustrate this a little easier. Okay. Turn off the wireframe. Turn off this. There's actually stuff inside. You can see this. This is a solid. There's a surface here. There's like there's a surface here. See? Now, if we did the same thing, clipped it on this mesh. Let's apply the same clip. Now this is hollow. There's no primitives here. Stop templating this. There. There's no. This surface is on the other side of the. It's on the surface of the geometry. So this tet mesh creates a solid geometry. I don't know how else. It's a tet mesh. That's what we use for fem to create all that muscle data and muscle geometry, because you need something moving and jiggling from the inside and the out. And if you, I don't know if anyone saw the launch trailer from Side Effects where they had that jello jiggling. It should be using a tet mesh geometry. Next, we're gonna drop down a bone capture harmonic. Sorry, bone capture harmonic, yeah. Now we're going to take the original mesh, or original character mesh, put in the left input. That's our skin geometry. Now, it requires the bone geometry. That's all the information we had applied here. All that bone capture data and all that stuff. All that fun stuff that we did. That's all for this node to do its calculations. Just give it a second. I should. So what we end up with here is a lot of attributes, a lot of bone capture attributes. Okay, I'm just gonna throw it out null. Oops, not this. Alright, so now we have this all set up. So this is our basic rig, believe it or not. It's not gonna move yet. We don't have a we don't have a binding to it yet. What we need here, I'm gonna bring in the animation. Or a animation. And let me see, let me bring in something. Okay, let's bring in a T-pose first. We're gonna need that. T-pose. Or this is an A pose. I don't know why I said T pose. And I'm gonna bring in an animation. Oh, I should just pick one. Okay, let's just pick the back flip. Here's the back flip. Let's move this over a little bit. So this is the back flip one. Oh, sorry, too fast. So we're gonna attach this bone to this mesh, this rig that we have set up here. Now first, when you have a rig, when you have an animation and it's moving all the bones, you're gonna need a rest pose, and that's usually what we call like the A pose or the T pose. So you're gonna need something to tell the software this is the original default position of the rig. And what the software will do is everything will be based on that rest position. And all it does is calculate all the delta rotations or stretching or all that data from the delta from the animation and the rest pose. And all that delta information will be applied to your rig over here. The one that we set up over here. This guy. Now, in order to tie these two together, the animation and the rest pose together, Houdini has a rig stash pose that we can put down. And since these two animations are the same bone structure, the names are all the same as well. So that helps a lot to get the rest pose from the same rig as the animation, because then the naming will be the same and you don't have to do anything to it. Just automatically attributes to match name, and then you're done. You're done with this node. Okay, we're gonna do a rig match pose, and now we have to match the rest position between our custom rig and the animation one. So this is the target skeleton, which is our setup, or our character, and then this is the source skeleton, which is from the animation one. So we're gonna need the first input of the rig stash pose. Now this rig stash pose, you come here. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Rig output. That's what I was looking for. Stash pose. Rig output is what we want. One way to test this out, how I was testing it out at the beginning, was clicking this and putting it here for the first, just to test what this was outputting. I just put a null here and just play it. So that was what I wanted. pose. Target skeleton. What is it complaining? Invalid storage part. Failed to traverse. Pose target. Oh, am I missing something? Oh, my bad. Sorry. That goes up here to the skeleton. I attached it to the mesh. It goes to the skeleton. Oh, let's bring everything down. So right now we're matching skeletons. That was this. This is just the mesh. This is the skeleton. We need to match this skeleton with our animated skeleton. Sorry, the size is like really, really bad. This is really small right here. So we're trying to match them both. That's what this guy does, or that's what this is gonna do. So this is ours. Now, select this node. I'm gonna close this. Come over here, press enter. Now we need to match the position or the default pose, the rest position of both the rigs. Assuming that your custom rig and the animated rest pose rig may have different number of bones, just like this in this case. So this has like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 bones for each leg. So that's way more than what I put in. So you're gonna have to match it up a bit and then tell it what is the default position to begin with. Let's do this front. Now you can either tweak the target or the source. I'm gonna tweak the source. So you can, this is mine. Sorry. Target is mine. So this is our custom rig. The source is the animation. So this is ours, right? Oops. This is ours. So we're gonna tweak this just a bit. I'll move this up a bit so it matches the pose that we have over here. Oh, I don't think that matters. Let me match the source. This is actually pretty... Okay, let's just pick one. Just match it up. Get this. Now, to deselect your point, you can either click something, but I find that sometimes these circles, the axis circles, gets in the way when I try to select something, and the axis right on top of it, it sometimes clicks the rotation axis by accident. So if you just click somewhere else on here, it'll deselect it, and then you can reselect the circle. So I just find that a little handy. Okay, let me double check. So the arm is a little, the elbow is a little rotated forward. I'm just going to do that too. Okay, let me do that to the other side. Oops. Where is the... Where are you? here and okay, I think that looks okay. All right, let's go with that. I'm just checking this the chat. It's been a while to use my KineFX for Houdini. Yeah, I find this is exciting that I can finally use the KineFX for something. Later, I noticed something during importing animation clips that Houdini does not adopt. Sorry, I should move this over. Oops. Where did you go? Just reading this. I noticed something during importing animation clips that Houdini does not adopt the clip FPS and length of the. Is there a workaround for this? It does not adopt it it does not adopt it automatically, but you can manually change it here. I know it's annoying. Yeah, I don't know any way around it. For Olympic, you can actually choose it. So back in the Olympic days, when you import Olympic, there's an option where you can actually choose this FPS. My guess is KineFX is quite it's still quite new. Maybe they'll implement that soon. Maybe. For example, the animation file is Houdini would import it yeah, it'll import. Oh, mine just imports it as is, I think. But all my animations are either 24 or 30 frames. I guess I never ran into that issue simply because I never had any animations other than those 2 FPSs. I'm not sure. Import animation. Let's take a look. You could. There is one thing you can double check, that when you export the FBX, try to import it back into that same software there that you exported it out. So say if I made the animation in Blender, and I'm exporting it out of Blender, try to re-import that same FBX back into Blender and make sure it's the same, the expected FBX that you started with. So this just guarantees that you're exporting it correctly. So maybe there's a setting that allows you to export it and change the FPS. So that just might be something. Oh, you're using Roku. Oh, nice. You got the Roku suit. I wish I can get one. It's very expensive. How's the accuracy of the Roku suit? That thing is it like, I have high expectations for that thing. Try importing it into like everything. I use Blender as my default application because Blender's been doing animation for a long time. So a lot of Blender's features, animation features, tend to be more mature. I usually import everything that goes wrong into Blender and fix it in Blender, because everything that comes out of Blender usually has a higher chance of success being if fixing the issue. So Blender is like my go-to thing. Yeah, I don't know. This I'm not sure because I don't have a Roku. I'm downloading from the motion library. Roku. Oh, I didn't try that either. I haven't tried the motion library. I should try the Mixamo library. I know the Mixamo library lets you choose the FPS, but even if it comes as the wrong FPS and like you don't know how to fix it, there is like a trick. I guess we can just like time blend it. I mean, that might be a really cheap trick though. Yeah, I don't know. how it shouldn't affect the accuracy. Like it doesn't, you shouldn't have any data loss is what I'm trying to say. Like you can use the time shift and maybe slow it down or speed it up. So if you wanted to by frame, by time, so you can actually do it by time. I use this a lot to loop things. So if you ever wondered how to loop things, sorry, that's getting ahead of ourselves. So I do have a walk animation later on, and there's only like 2 steps it takes. So the rest you're gonna loop forward. I do use the time shift to loop it, and I'll show you how a little later. Sorry, I'm not much help to the Roku motion library. Maybe I'll give it a try. If they have like some trial motions, I'll give it a try and then I'll get back to you on that. Okay, let's go back to this. Now comes, okay, now that we matched our pose position of our rig and the animation rig, let's go over and match the points. So there's a map points. Basically, this will map the points between the 2 rigs. It'll tell us our rig bone follow the other rig bone, which bone to follow which. Basically, you have to pair all the bones. So drop this down, select this. So it goes into that parallel node connection. So we're all, if you've seen Vellum, RBD tools, you're familiar with this parallel node connection. Select this, come over here, press enter, and you're gonna see both rigs laid on top of each other. Now this is really hard to look at, so we can push one of them back. Now this doesn't affect anything, so I'm gonna just push one of them back. Okay, let's do this. So what you do is click the rig. Okay, this is the head. We're gonna match it with this head. Now, left click this, and see it draws out a dotted connection line. And then come over here to this head. Now, my hand is still dragging this. Oh, actually, you don't have to. Just click it once. Come over here and click the head, the one that we're gonna pair it up with. Click that. Okay, there we go. We have that connected. Now this is the neck, and this is our neck. So this is where the labeling comes in really handy. Click that, click this. So we're just gonna do this. Spine, spine. So they just called it a spine. All the way down. Pelvis, okay. Now, we're gonna connect the hands. So the hands is parallel. You can see that we're gonna do the same here, the same here. So click this, hold down shift on your keyboard, and then click this. It'll connect both of them. So it'll do the mirror option, which is awesome. So click this, hold down shift, click that, click this, hold down shift, click that. Now I didn't do the hand, so I'm just gonna leave that out. The hand is tricky. Left click that, select, left click this, select. So I don't have a thigh bone. My rig is a lot simpler than the animated one. And this is an animation I bought online, so it's a higher quality one. Oh, this has 2, okay, foot bone. Oh, I forgot to click shift. So if it asks you for a bone, that this is giving you 2 bones, the IK bone or the foot bone. I'm gonna go with the foot bone, simply because the IK will controls multiple things. Usually I stay away from IK if you're manually mapping it to, if you're mapping one rig to another, I try to stay away from IK. Unless it doesn't work, then I go back and give the IK a try, the IK bone a try. Now we can finally put down a full body IK. So that's this one. Drop that down, and this should give us, now I don't like this look, so I'm just going to drop down null. Gives me too much information. I can't see what I want. So I'm going to see what this does. So this is our rig. I don't know if you can recognize it. This is our rig. So that's not too bad. That it has remapped. What I was trying to show you is that it has remapped this. Oh, because it's a different. This guy, this is what our custom rig, to this backflip animation. To this backflip animation that I have, and it has mapped it to our rig. Okay, giving us that. Now, that's not useful yet because we have to map it to the 3D mesh. Now, that is what we need. So comes in the bone deform node, the ultimate node. So, geometry to deform. That's this guy. This is our mesh. Then it has the rest position. Now the rest position, that's the rest position, the default position of our character. So that's this guy, the custom skeleton here. I'm gonna put him here. Deform point, and then the skeleton that is deforming, that's our animation. What we want to deform, what we want to deform to. And cool. So we have a first stance. It's pose, sorry. Let's play it. So that's not too bad. I mean, this took, I don't know, with my long-winded explanations, I don't know, when did I start? This is pretty fast, retargeting it. What's even, I mean, there is software out there where you can just click, click, click to retarget animation. But what is the beauty about this is that, say I want to retarget another animation. Now I'm just gonna go get another animation. Oh, sorry, trying to flip screens. Okay, let's just choose this one. This one. I want to retarget it to this one. All I have to do is just take this node and apply it to, attach it to, replace it with the backflip node. Given that the rest pose rig is the same, we don't have to change that. If it's not the same, then it's gonna be a little tricky. But this is all we have to change in order to change the animation. Oops. Backflip. Oh, they're both the backflip. Sorry, I forgot to change the... Oh, I just brought in the same node. Sorry. That was silly. Okay. Okay. That's the right node. Let's go do that again. One more time. See, this is even faster than clicking on another software. This is like procedural. If you want to be even more fancier, you can put like a switch and you can just switch them both between each other. And this is even faster. So go like flip, flip. Like, this is so handy. And good practice to put it out. I don't know what to call it. Out retargeted. Ugh, sorry. So that's super fast in order to retarget stuff. Let's see. So that covered these two. Now, making footprints. Just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna double check if I missed anything that I needed to talk about. Oh, let me see. That should be okay. So let's move on to... Oh, I did want to, right. I wanted to show you, if you do have a KineFX and you're dealing with noisy data, like my Connects. It has noise all over the place, like what I was showing you in the trailer. Just trying to find that spot. Okay, yeah, this noise here, it just has the flickering back and forth just because it cannot read that. It's not getting data from the feet due to whatever reason, lighting, limitation of the Connects, I don't know, some reflection in the room, or whatever reason you have from a mocap device. No matter how expensive they are, you're gonna get noise somehow. It's just gonna be less or more. So how would you fix that up in Houdini? Now I'm gonna bring in this. I'm gonna slap it on, see if it works. You can ignore this. Let it give it cooking. 1 second. Okay, so this is dealing with this guy. What I wanted to show you is this. So this is data that I captured from my mocap. It's extremely noisy. I cleaned it up like crazy, with manually cleaning up the keyframes and tweaking it even further to sell the look a little bit. Took forever. Took like almost the entire day just to clean it up, and it's still noisy. So I just want you to see this. So I'm trying to do a jump. Trying to do a jump. He lands and he falls. I ran out of frames. Okay, let's do this one more time. He jumps. Falls. You can see the feet. It's like, there you go. And he falls down. So I was trying to do a quicksand or quicksand simulation to accompany this animation to show you how it can be used together. But I ran out of time with that one. But it doesn't matter. I don't think we're going to have enough time to go over all the simulations. So that might be part 2 as a continuation one. Anyways, that was what I was trying to do. But as you can see, you can see these the feet. Well, the feet is like really bad. It doesn't even move. Who jumps like that? So what I wanted to show you, so this is the exact same setup as we had before. It has a lot of other crazy stuff that I have here. But it is the exact same setup as I showed you with the match pose. It has a copy rig transform. You don't need that. I was trying to experiment with that. Full body IK, retarget. And this is where it gets interesting. This rig pose. So you can see down here, I have a lot of keyframes down here. This is fixing the animation to sell the look a little bit more. Now let's look at this without it. Let's look at this without it. Oh, actually, let me template. Yeah, let's just look at this. I'm going to scroll with the mouse. It's a little faster. So you can see the feet and everything. It's all weird. So let's enable this node. Let's go back. You can see what I've done. I fixed it up a little bit with the feet. Let's ignore this. So that's what it was before when it was jumping up. So that wasn't really selling the look. So it was, you can do minor tweaks to it. Keyframe tweaks too. So that's extremely helpful. Goes up, down. So there's a little less flickering with the feet. Not as much flickering. Reduced it a bit. I mean, it still has that. You see that flop? I could not get rid of it. I got really tired. It goes down. And he falls down. Realistically, I want to turn this, when he falls down, into a ragdoll. And then he would drop, like, pluck. like smack on the floor. I think that would be a little better. But that's for next time. So that's what I want to show you with the ragdoll. Now, let's do something. Let's go back to our original one. This one. And let's make a modification with a rig pose. So just to clarify, this is this guy. What is he doing? Okay. Let's add a bit to this. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I just want to demonstrate how you can use the rig pose node to make minor tweaks to your animation. Drop down the rig pose right after the full body IK. So this is our retargeted rig. This is our custom rig, not the animation rig that we brought in, like the one that the animation asset, not that one. This is our retargeted rig. Select this, come over here. Let me make this bigger. Over here, press enter. You're gonna get a lot of bones we have access to. Now let's just give him a back break. Let's just do that. And what will happen? That will stay for the entire animation. It is quite fun. I'm just checking the chat. So what someone's asking? Oh, Jojo is asking. Import, connects, record data. Oh, I use a software called Nemate, simply because I'm a Blender fan. So I've been using this for a while, the free version for a while. I figured I'd give give the pro version a try. So this guy. The trial worked really nice. So I was using that for a long time already. If anyone is curious how I went about that, is because I went to YouTube and I googled Connects mocap, and what came up, of course, Fragmentin's DIY Connects motion capture. Literally, I followed that instructions and I did everything he said, and I even downloaded his rig and everything. So that worked with the trial version, and I wanted to but that was a little harder for the workflow because his rig, Fragmentin's rig, has very little bones, and I wanted more bones, and I wanted more features, and who knows, maybe down the line I'll get another Connects and have covered the blind spots that's not capturing that foot data. That's this flickering foot down here that that's why all my mocaps have that flickering foot, because it's not getting that foot data. So I probably have a blind spot there, and I need another Connects to cover all the angles. Probably 2 or 3 Connects, but whatever the budget can do. It actually, if you come to think of it, if you buy like a Connects, it's not as cheap as it was before. The people have been jacking up the price, so it's not cheap anymore. You need to do a bit of planning. If you're gonna ask yourself how far you're gonna go with this, if you're gonna get like 4 or 5 Connects, you seriously don't. You just get a Rococo suit. It probably comes out to be a better bang for your buck or the same amount of money. So do a bit of planning and do a bit of grab a calculator and type it in. Do a bit of number crunching first before you go on and buy one of these. But one Connects works extremely well for the amount of money that you're putting in. Put it that way. You're not going to get anything cheaper than that. Well, you might. Who knows? With technology advancing, webcams can capture a lot nowadays. It does. Doesn't work very well though. I tend to use Blender to smooth the animation. You can actually pick which bones you want to smooth too. So Blender is like my go-to application. You can even pimp. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. You can improve your workflow by buying mini add-ons for Blender. So I mean, it's always with the budget. Budget-wise, compared to the Roku suit, it's very much it's a lot cheaper. With if you add this, do that, and it requires a lot of work and a lot of micro spending. I mean, you don't have to spend a lot. This, God bless this plugin. This came in extremely useful for fixing up and cleaning up the mocap data. So this is an add-on from Blender. What it allows you to do, if you can first you bring in your raw mocap data into Blender, and then this allows you to apply a layer on top of it, an animation layer on top of it. Like if I wanted to do this, it's adding a rig pose. It's exactly like this, adding a rig pose, and you can modify it manually. Except that will add it to the raw mocap data, so I can reuse it without having all these rig poses everywhere. It's just a little friendlier to use with the UI. I mean, to be honest, you can just use this way and just fix up all your animations using this rig pose, and then re-export out the rig from this point on. Like, whoops. Sorry. Not that. FBX. Animation raw. You can just export it out here, and then like it would be almost the same thing as what I do. I just tend to use Blender as my go-to. Okay, I just wanted to show you one more thing first before I move on. The rig pose. You can actually animate this. How should I show this? Okay, let's just put a keyframe here. So I can keyframe the translate. Actually, I'm not going to keyframe the translate. I'm going to keyframe the rotation. And then come over here. I don't know. And then fixes back up. You know what? I'm just going to 0, 0, 0. And then that. Let's see what happens. Just waking up in the morning. So you're gonna have fun with the rig pose. Let's try to avoid 3D packages. I'm thinking about deleting my in a couple of weeks now, but I would keep Blender if I run into something. Yeah, definitely. I'm thumbs up with Blender. Maya used to be, I don't know if it still is or not. Maya used to be the king of rigging. I don't know if that's the case anymore. I mean, Blender by itself is not great, but Blender, if you're willing to spend a couple of bucks, well, okay, more than a couple bucks, maybe a couple $100 buying add-ons, you can really turn Blender into a very, very useful program, into a production level ready program. Actually, maybe I'll do a stream about how to rig in Blender. It's actually even faster because of this. They have this Auto Pro rigging. This thing makes it super. This is literally click, 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 and the whole thing's rigged up, and it gives you a lot of fancy rig controls. This is super fast. It literally takes 2 minutes to rig something, but all you due to its interface. But Houdini has an advantage over all of that, is that we have it's procedural. So this is okay. I think this is a good time for me to get into procedural noise, and then I'll go back to the footprint, because this is something why I want to point out that Houdini has an advantage over other softwares, simply because it's so procedural. Houdini is like the king of proceduralism. I'm just trying to find. Okay, here it is. Yeah, I'm gonna bring in that crawling. So I want to show you the crawling animation. So let's just pop this over here. Let's do this. So that's the one where he's crawling up. Oh, I gotta get rid of the rig pose. So he's crawling up. He's getting up in the morning, trying to crawl up that hole. So that's not too bad. It's not too bad. It's easy to get up. Now, I want to give him a harder time. So what I do to the raw rig, is I'm going to slow it down. So I added a time blend. And what this does, I'm slowing down the speed by half, by 40%. So it's a lot slower. So this is sorry, I'm blind. There you go. See? One is a lot faster. The other is slower. So I slowed him down. Now I'm going to add a point VOP. This point VOP is doing something super simple. Oops, that just... What is wrong with my copy and paste? Okay, there we go. Point VOP. And what is this doing? Now let's look at this for a second. I'm taking the point. Oh, this is not necessary. This was me experimenting. And I'm adding some curl noise to it. So, the curl noise, I'm taking the position. The position is a vector. Shove it in here. And I'm also taking the time. So I'm having some 4D thing. If you drop down on curl noise, choose 4D noise, and then you'll get all this yellow input. It's asking for like a 4D vector. So you can drop down a vector. That's this guy. This one over here. And then you just pop in the position, pop in the time, and then this will go into there. So that's the same thing. That will drive this curl noise. And what I do to the curl noise, so I take the position first. I'm only interested in modifying the Y, which is the up-down. So if you look at this, this I'm taking, this is the position. It's coming from the position over here into this vector, and I'm breaking it down into the X, Y, Z. The X and Z, plug it, like that's exactly how it is, and this is my result. So this is my result. No modifications. The only modification I do is I'm taking the Y component of the position vector. Now, oops, sorry. The Y component of the position vector, and I'm adding it. What am I adding? I'm adding my noise, my curl noise to it. And then plugging it to my result. This is my result. Result position. I'm taking that result position and I'm plugging it into the resulting P. Now, what do I get? Let's take a look. So all I'm doing is adding noise to the Y of all the P, of all the points. Whee! Then I'm going to take this rig. So this is the original rig. Let's just take a look. This is the original rig. I add noise. And let's plug this rig, this modified rig, right into the whole entire setup. Let's take a look what it looks like after binding it to the mesh. Oh, I can't get up. Close. So I was trying to do like a sinkhole thing. Having him climb and then slip and then climb and slip. but I didn't get enough time to work that out, and instead I used the vellum. I put down a vellum balloon to show how that can drive a vellum simulation. So since we're into this, I'm just gonna finish off the vellum. Now the vellum settlement is really, really simple, so I'm just gonna paste it in. Okay, let's go here. Oops, sorry. Let's go in first. Animation character. Animation character. That's this. So I'm gonna put down my retargeted. That's this guy. Our animation. Plug it in here. And these are my notes. Sorry. Don't want you to see my notes. Time shift. Simply because, okay, let's just ignore the time shift for right now. That was just moving him into position. So the simulation would start off in a good state. I added a time shift, but we don't really need that unless, yeah, I don't think we need it. No, he's not even in the right spot though. Yeah, there you go. So he's going down. So this setup is super simple. All I had, this vellum is just, it's nothing special. They're all default parameters too. I didn't really modify. I didn't modify anything. Like a sphere, that's my balloon. Drop down a vellum cloth. In fact, you know what? Okay, I don't know if anyone wants me to see me do this. This is literally just node by node. There's no changes to it. Okay, let me check the chat. Stay with Houdini. Yeah, definitely. Houdini has become a large part of my life, so I can't part away from it. No, never. That's gonna take a while. Blender, well, maybe. Who knows? Because Blender has been getting a lot of funding from a lot of big companies like Epic Games, Auto. What is it? What is that called? Autodesk. Facebook, Amazon, like a lot of big names have been giving a lot of money to Blender, so who knows, maybe. But Houdini is way ahead of the game in terms of proceduralism. Even though was promising, I'm sure of. Yeah, definitely. I am ecstatic for Houdini 19. Like this can only get better. Consider other packages now. I don't know why I'm stuck with Houdini. Oh, Houdini's great. You're not stuck with anything. Like Houdini's great for so many reasons. For I believe side effects in, don't quote me on the year. I think it's 2016 or something, or 17. The year the movie Shape of Water came out, they won an Emmy. Houdini, like a software company, won an Emmy for creating realistic water. I don't know, go figure. I never watched that movie, but it shows how accurate Houdini is. And Houdini is labeled a scientific application. So there will definitely be a position for Houdini in the industry in terms of like scientific research, in terms of, because of how fast Houdini can process all the data. Like, where you're gonna find an application that can process so many points so quickly through a point wrangle or VOP for point VOP, even faster with all the parallelism that they have implemented in their software. If you try to load I don't know, 9 million points, a geometry with 9 million polygons into Houdini, it will definitely be faster than loading it into Blender, because Blender becomes almost like, literally, maybe I don't have enough RAM. It becomes almost unusable. It's like click, wait 1 minute and it moves. The UI gets so latency on the UI is impossible to use. So there's definitely long gap between them, big gap. I just realized. I think this is a conversation between two people. And I'm commenting all this. I'm so sorry. I don't think you're talking to me. Unless you are. I don't know. Oh yeah, definitely. A lot of movies are using Houdini. Yeah, I think Houdini has, because Houdini can do everything. Where are you gonna find a software application that can do almost everything? I mean, it doesn't do everything the best, but that's the best bang for your buck. Especially if you're like, I don't know, doing a startup. Houdini's definitely the best bang for your buck. Where are you gonna find a software application? Especially if Houdini indie. You're paying an indie price to do everything. I mean, Mantra, yes, it is slow, but hey, if you gotta render something, a commercial, I don't know, leave the computer on day and night. I would not do that. I'd probably just port it over to Blender and render it in Blender because Cycles is really fast and it's free. Oh, we are all talking to you. Oh, good. Gumroad add-on named Modeler 2.9. Oh, that's awesome. I should check that out. But the Gumroad add-on. I should really check that out. Oh, there was a comment by one of the members requesting to do that pie chart thing, that pie thing that they implemented. The user interface where you actually, I don't even know how to call it up. I don't really use it. A lot of people use it for the 3D modeling. I tend to stick with the nodes. Yeah, there's like this pie thing. I can show you in Blender. I don't know what's it called. The pie chart. The pie menu. Sorry, pie menu. So, but it's in Houdini. So they have something like this thing, but it's in Houdini. And someone asked to create a user interface, to customize the user interface, because you can actually program it. I don't even remember where it was. You can actually program and make your own asset in Houdini to enhance the software even further. I was gonna look into that one day, because the coding, it's all based on Python coding, and it was very similar to some of the code scripting that I used for my procedural city asset. Yeah, I know they're partnering up together, which is very exciting. You can expect a lot more. I'm gonna move into a lot of UE4 tutorials, and because I feel like the next Houdini version will have a lot of tools based on side of Houdini to Unreal Engine, like even more than what we have now. I feel like that's gonna be worth investing, committing some time to learning and enhancing. So when it actually Houdini 19 comes out, we're gonna be like just ready and just use everything. Take me with you. Cool. All right. As fast as I could talk. Oh my god, I didn't make it to the... Okay, let me do the footprints really, really quickly. The footprints is actually based... Okay, so I'm not gonna do this. This is a very simple vellum simulation. And if you're a perk 1 or 2 membership, you're gonna get the hip file. So I'm gonna clean up the hip file. Don't worry, you're not gonna get this hip file. It's gonna be cleaned up a little bit. This is really messy. But I just one more time, I can't share the animations I bought online, and I can't share the the Real Illusions character creator generated Toon Boy. I can't share that one. I can only share you my crappy one, this one. I promise you, I will make this a little better. This is so terrible. So expect a 2.0 coming this soon. I have some sculpting skills in ZBrush, but I take forever to sculpt anything because I'm not very proficient in ZBrush. I don't use it that often. I haven't touched it in months. So this was the first thing I've made in like a year in ZBrush. Okay, let's do the footprint. So, the footprint. Small recap. That's this guy, making footprints everywhere. This is based on an old tutorial I did. Let me bring this up. Sorry. Commercial. Oh, I don't know if I... Okay. So this was based on this tutorial. It was really, really old. This is last year. Last 2 years. We're in 2021 now. 2 years ago. Yeah, and this tutorial is actually based on an example, side effects example. Here, I will show you. So how you can access the example. Come in, drop down a solver inside the geometry node. So I created a geometry node, and I'm going to drop down a solver. Click this. No, don't worry, we're not going to use this. Come to the help. Click this. It'll launch this. So you have to launch it inside Houdini. Okay. Click the examples and look for the footsteps, this one. So the reason why I needed to launch it in Houdini is because I needed this load button. If you click, so now we can just erase this. Click the load. It will create the example file inside your Houdini instance. So that's this. So it'll bring the torus. So this is the torus. I'm just gonna play it. So let me hide everything else. So it's stamping down. So so all I did was just replace the torus with the character. Well, you're gonna have to delete this torus because it has this expression. It has this Houdini expression making it go up and down. So delete this. Delete channels. Make it 0. Okay. Without that, this torus doesn't move. So I don't even know why they did that, because they had another torus down here and they put an expression here, which is quite silly. I don't know why they did that twice. So let's put down our... Actually, we don't even need that. We don't need this. What I'm gonna do... go up again. Retargeting animation. Now I'm gonna bring in my walk animation. Okay, let me go here, sorry. Walk animation. Okay, let's do this. There. A little more organized. Okay, so this is the walk. Okay, sweet. Now I have a time shift attached to the walk. So that's another thing I wanted to get into. How to loop this time walk. So this walk, okay, it stops. It stops on frame 40. That's the last frame. Oh, 41. 41 is the last frame. So how am I supposed to loop this? Because if I go like here, nothing's going to happen. So drop down in time shift. Here, what you do is you can... so this percentage is mod. It's modulus. Modulus is a mathematical operator. Just gonna bring up Notepad. And I'm going to turn up the font. So what you do if you have modulus. So this is going to a 2-minute math lesson. 10 modulus, I don't know, 2. Well, that's not going to be helpful. Let's go 20 equals 0. Now, why is that? I go 10 divided by 20. Oh, that's half. That's not a good example. I wanted a better example. Let's do 5. Easier to understand. This is 2. Remainder. So when you're working with divisions, you have the remainder 0. So that's why this modulus is 0. So let's try again. Let's go 10 divided by 3. I'm going to use my calculator for this one. 10 divided by 3. Well, that's just 3. Oops. Remainder 3 and 9, 1. This is because 3 times 3 is 9. So you're going to have remainder 1. So that brings up, okay, let me plug in my pen. I think I need to draw this out. Just give me 1 second. Okay, let's see. Let's bring up Blender. I'm sorry. That's like, it really is my go-to app. I'm gonna draw something. Okay. Okay, good. Oh, let's change the color. I need a... Ooh. Oh, shoot. My Wacom tablet is not recognizing the second monitor. No. How could you? Oh, I should have plugged it in before. Shoot. Mapping. Okay. That sucks. Yeah, it's not recognizing it. Shoot. Well, that's not gonna help then. I don't know how to draw this out. Notepad. Oh, I know. I'll just draw it on this monitor and just move it over. Okay, let's do this. Color stroke. Three, 9, remainder 1. Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna move this over now. So this brings back memories. So remember this little hat thing we used to have back in the day where we did divisions? So 10 divided by 3. Sorry, I should just stop. Okay, 3 times 3 is 9. So we're left off with the remainder of 1. If we do like 10, okay, I'm writing with the mouse, modulus 3, it gives us 1 because modulus is always looking for what is the remainder, regardless of this number. It doesn't care about this number. It doesn't really care about this number. It doesn't care about this number. It only cares about this number. It only cares about the remainder. And this is incredibly useful for stuff that you have looping over. Why? Because, let me bring back Houdini. Because what I wanted to do is for every 33 frames, it should be 41, 33 frames, I want it to loop. So that's what I was doing, loop, loop, loop. So look at what the number goes. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this is too much. 40, 41, and then 0. But we're on frame 41. The frame here has shifted back to 0. So we're going back. We're looping through this animation using the modulus. Now, why is that possible? Because modulus always gives us the remainder. We're always going to have the same remainder for every 41 frames, for every single number. Frame number is always increasing. We take the entire frame, the entire timeline in Houdini. So there's 500 frames in this entire Houdini timeline. Every single frame, take the 500 frames, put it into groups of 41. 41 frames here. That's one cycle. That's one cycle. That's one walk cycle. Take the next 41 frames. That's 41 to 82. 82. Here, that's the second cycle. Third cycle. So every single cycle will have the same, every frame inside each cycle, inside each group, always has the same remainder. I don't know if that makes sense. So, for example, 1 divided by 41, what's that going to give us? 1. Okay? That's a remainder of 1. 1 divided by 41. 1 divided by 2 divided by 41, that's going to be remainder 2. 3 divided by 41, that's remainder 3. And all the way to 40, 41, 40, here. 40 divided by 41, that's going to give us a remainder 40. Because oh wait, that was silly. All I had to do is, okay, then duplicate. Edit this points. Go back to draw. Okay. Instead of doing 40, I'm gonna do 5 because 40 is too big. If we have a walk cycle of 5 frames, 1. Oh, this is gonna suck. Sorry. I just realized I have it the other way around. 1 divided by 5. So this is 0. Sorry, what is this? I'm getting confused. Modulus divided by 5. Yeah, 0. 1 divided by is 0. Sorry, remainder. 0 point 2. But we're gonna have remainder 0. There's no remainder here. 5 divided by 2. This is gonna have 0.05. 4.4. I don't know how to illustrate this correctly. 1 second. Wait, 2.5. 5. Sorry, I did have that correct. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Okay, I'm just going to draw it out on the other side. 5, 1. 5, remainder 0. 2 divided by 5. 2.5. 2. 2 times 2. 3, 5. I'm almost done. I'm so sorry. 5 times. Okay, maybe I'll just do 3 frames. 6. 3 times 3, and then 2. There you go. Okay. 3. 18. 2. Okay. So I'll just do 3 frames. Okay, let me bring this over. Okay, so this is frame 1. Frame 1. Frame 2. This is frame 3. Now, for modulus, we only care about the whole number. So, okay, let's stick with this one first. Let's stick with frame 1. 5 divided by 1. 1 divided by 5. 1 divided by 5 is, what am I doing? Did I mix it up? Divided by 5. I think I did mix it up. Okay, you know what? I'll draw this out later on and then get back to you on this. I don't know how to explain this correctly, but when you do the modulus, if you always mod the same number, it will give you the cycle. It'll give you the same group iterating. And this is perfect for looping. So in this walk cycle, we have 41 frames. So it will always cycle back to the 41 because it's asking, if you think about division, the basics of division, it's asking you how many groups, when you're dividing a number, say 12 divided by 3, it's asking you have 12 pieces, divided the 12 pieces into 4 groups. How many pieces are in each group? 3 pieces, because 3 times 4 is 12. Now, if you think about that, modulus is sort of saying, okay, you have this number, and I want to see how many groups you can put it in. How many groups you can fit in whole groups, how many whole groups you can fill, how many buckets you can completely fill in using the frame, using the current frame number. Well, our current number is frame 1. frame 1, if I modulus 41 is asking us, we have one piece and I'm trying to fill in 41, a bucket of a size 41. I can't fill in anything. There's going to be 0 buckets. How many pieces are going to be left over? 1, because we started with 1 piece. That none of the buckets will be filled, is what I'm saying. And modulus is all about the remainder. How much you have remaining. It only cares about the whole buckets. If I had time, and I wish my tablet was working, then I can actually draw it out on the screen. I will get back to you on this. Maybe on the next stream I'll have this working. I should have restarted the computer with the Wacom tablet, and then it would recognize it on the second monitor. I hope that makes sense for now. I'll come back to this modulus thing. But just trust me. Just like figure out where the walk cycle ends. So where it stops moving, basically. So that's frame 41. This walk cycle has 41 frames. That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry. Go to time shift here, and just go like frame modulus whatever walk cycle frame. Put that number right in there, and I guarantee you this will just loop all the way through. That's what I'm trying to say. And then hook this up over here, and then you're gonna have this walk cycle. Now that wasn't even the point of holding this. Sorry. This was like so off-ended. That goes into the footsteps too. We're not even there. I'm sorry. Okay, let's paste that in really quickly. Okay. Oh, right. And I also template this so we see him. Oh, I need to rotate the grid. No? Oh, there. Okay. Now he's walking in the same spot, so that's not helping. Let's transform. So what we need to do is just keyframe it. Keyframe this. Come over here and move him over. Keyframe. Well, that's a really slow walk. Let's speed this up a bit. Oh my god. Now this is not working. Nothing's working tonight. Oh my god. It won't let me delete. No. Anyways, let's just do this here. Okay, there we go. So that drags it through. Now, I really wanted to explain a bit how this is working, but I think we're running out of time. And I'm running out of air. Okay, let me see if I can in like 2 minutes. Super quick. Really, this deals with SDF. What this is doing is taking this animation, this character animation, and it's going like, give me a volume. Turn this guy into a volume. Why? Because we need the SDF. Volumes has a particular very useful thing, is that it can give us the SDF volume. What is SDF? SDF is giving us like how deep it is within this volume geometry, how deep it is in this point, this voxel, how deep is it in this geometry, how deep is this voxel in this geometry, that voxel. Every single voxel has the data written to it, how deep it is within this volume, and we use that information and feed it into this solver. into the volume SOP. The volume SOP, this huge thing. What is this doing? Volume sample. Volume sample just asks us, give me the volume data, and I want the SDF data. The SDF data is how deep it is. How deep is it? And it's asking us, well, is it less than 1 or greater than 1? If it's less than 1, that means we're inside, we're protruding inside the generator. We're inside his leg going in. Now, why is that useful? Why is that useful? Because if you look carefully, this is the point. We're feeding in points. But the point, what is the P that we're feeding in? Let's go back. That's the key. The P that we're feeding in. Now this is where it gets a little confusing. This is the previous frame. Now I'm going to do something, and I'm going to copy this. I'm going to simplify this a little bit easier. So we're not going to deal with the solver right now. We're going to do this, and I'm going to feed in the grid. So this is a little easier. Hopefully this is easier to understand. So because the SOP solver remembers the previous frame, and that gets into a whole new beast. And I don't want to confuse you right now. I want you to understand this concept first, a single frame concept, before we get into the solver concept. So let's figure out this. The P that we're feeding into this volume SOP is the grid. We're feeding in the grid position, but we're asking it for the volume sample of op input index 1. That's this one here, or this one. We're asking it for the volume sample of our character that we turned into a volume, the SDF. So we're asking it for the SDF, but we're asking it the SDF of the grid position. We're using the grid position. So that's the key here, the grid position and the SDF of our character. And the SDF of our character tells us how deep it is that it is going into the volume. If you combine those two, what do you get? You get how deep the foot has entered into the grid. If you think about it, because how deep the foot has stepped into the grid, because SDS tells us depth. The grid, the positions are coming from the grid. So that creates the footprint. Now, if you want a longer explanation, you can watch the previous tutorial, that SOP solver tutorial that I showed you. I'm going to link put a link in the description. That has a more detailed explanation. However, I may redo that explanation and throw that out too, because I think I have a new way of explaining things now. Although most of my explanations require pictures. If I can't draw anything, I'm doomed. And then what the solver does over here, it remembers the last footprint, because this VOP does not change the footprint. Oh, let's not do this one. Let's do this. So let's run this. Oh, okay, I can't just, oh. These are all incorrect now. Because of this guy. Should be okay. Let's see. Bad reference collide up 1. Oh. This. Oh, that's silly. Oh, I can't delete this. What? Let me delete it. Oh, so close. I'm just gonna manually. It won't let me delete. Okay, there it goes. Oh, vector is 1. It's always 1 in this scenario. Okay. P position, P subtract that. Up. Negative. Oh, I don't think we have enough points, that's why. Offset. There we go. So you can see that. Hopefully you can see that. There's imprinting it there. But it's not sticking, is what I'm trying to tell you. See, it moves. That little imprint. It's because I don't have enough. Let me see. 150. Let's make this a little bigger. More dense. Hopefully you can see that. So there's that imprint. My mini footprints. But it's not sticking around. If you want the footprints to stick, you're gonna need this solver. And what this solver does, it remembers everything from the previous frame. So that's what it is. Hopefully that makes sense. And a really quick overview of this. So we're almost getting to 2 hours. I'm super tired. I'm gonna continue this KineFX topic. I knew it was too much to talk about. I just thought I would get into the spline control. I knew these two were impossible to get through. Alright, so I'm going to cover the rest of this on the next stream. There's so much more I want to talk about too. Like spline control. I'm just going to give you a quick... Let me see if this works. Oh, this works. Good. Spline control. I thought this was amazing. It's like a must show. If anyone's still here, we're like 2 hours going through. So let's take this break. So this is a very simple setup. This is not anything special. There's no IK. There's no anything like that. This is a simple, one of the first tests that I did. If I take this, whee! If you modify the middle one, is more interesting. Ooh. Yes, this is what I do all day. Wee. Thump, 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 thump. So this was one of the first things I do. That's your basic concept. So this is what we were doing with the character. You have your mesh. This is our mesh right here. I just remeshed it. You have your bone capture lines. You turn into a tent mesh, which is a solid piece of geometry. So if you look carefully, we have points inside. Oh, sorry. We have points inside. So it's a little more there. Compared to this one, you can see it's hollow. And there's so much more. I really wanted to go over this. It gets even more interesting as you go through. This is the IK. So this is a very simple IK setup. If you go name, blah, 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 IK chain, controls. I'm going to take the controls and I'm going to go here. This. Oops, this. See? Oh, it's moving the middle one automatically. And you can even adjust the position. Oops. Look at that. So that was one of the first tests I did on my Twitter thing that I posted. The spline gets even more interesting. This is something I really wanted. So I'm going to go over all these the next time. And hopefully I can fix the spline. So the spline one is the most interesting one. Okay. This is the point fob that I put in. So I'm going to manually move this. Like this. Whee! It just moves everything. So you can imagine keyframing just one point and it just moves everything for you. This is like procedural animation. Totally right up that alley. The only problem with this setup that I had is that so you can imagine doing this to a human rig, to that human rig that we had. That is this, dude. So to this human rig that we have here. Right, what the? Okay, it just got stuck again. Okay, there we go. Imagine we did that to this rig. We can modify so many things with this. I mean, that's sort of what I'm doing with this rig pose. I'm modifying, adding another layer of modification to it. Oh, see, adding that modification, that bending down and up. That's sort of what I'm doing to this. But if we can use this spline curve to control that, that would be amazing. The only issue is when I applied this spline control to this full body IK rig, the rotations were completely wrong, and it turned, when you deform the character, it just looked like it went through a tornado. Everything was like turned inside out and twisted. Twisting was completely wrong, so I had to figure that out. Otherwise, I feel like this is like huge for procedural animation. I'm just looking through the chat. Pretty sure Blender has a trick for that. Let's send this bug to Control Shift and left mouse. You can delete those animation keyframes created. Oh yeah. I should really get used to memorizing the keystrokes, the shortcuts in Houdini. So footprint one more time later using the solver. Yeah, I'll go through it in more detail. Don't worry. The footprint. That was a like really fast, like super speed explanation. Hope I didn't lose anyone. I'm not sure if it even made sense. I will do a little bit better. Redo. That needs a redo. All right. Does anyone else have any more questions? I'm gonna call it a night. So I'm just gonna wait a while because there's a slight delay in the stream. So cool. Awesome. I'm glad you liked it. For the part that I wasn't doing math on. Yeah, you're right about the math. Don't ever do math while you're streaming. Nothing works, including my head. Oh, thank you for watching. Thank you all for joining. Oop, I keep doing that. Ah, thank you. You're too kind. All right. I'm gonna end the stream as it now right now because I'm super tired. So stay tuned. I'm gonna have part 2 coming soon. Awesome. Thank you. Yep. See you all next time, and thank you all for joining me tonight. I really appreciate. And you have any questions, you can still post them in the comments. I mean, I'll answer them as quickly as possible, and I'll to the best of my ability. Cool. I'll see you next time, and thank you all for joining me tonight. In this video, we'll be looking at the Pyro solver and the parameters within the simulation tab. I'll go over each parameter one by one with examples demonstrating how each parameter affects the Pyro scene. There's a lot to the Pyro solver node, and if I can find more time for recording, I may do another video that will go even deeper into the Pyro solver node and cover even more parameters in the other tabs. But for this video, I'll only go over the parameters in the simulation tab. This video is part of the mini-series on Pyro for beginners. The videos were recorded in chronological order as indicated here from top to bottom, but these videos are very modular and you don't have to watch it in order. So if you're looking for a specific topic, you can just skip to that without watching the others. However, if you are completely new to Pyro simulations, then I would recommend watching it in order. So generally you would have microsolvers set up here to this third input of the Pyro solver. So you would have stuff like gas turbulence. These microsolvers all set up over here and hooked up to the third input on the Pyro solver. And this would manipulate the smoke using these microsolvers. But in this video, I'm going to keep it simple and only go over the solver options in the Pyro solver. So that's in here, the solver itself has a lot of shape here, has a lot of options, and it has its own dissipate, disturbance, it has its own disturbance, turbulence, noise, and all these which act very similar to the microsolvers. But the microsolvers have more options. Now I'm not going to go over every single parameter in the Pyro solver, I picked a few that I thought was very handy to know, and I'm going to go over those. Now, the time scale parameter in the Pyro solver speeds up the calculations in the simulation. This will make the smoke simulation appear to move faster. So let's play this first. Gonna make a flipbook. The one on the left is time scale set to 1. The one on the right is the time scale set to 2. So the one on the right should be twice as fast. As you can see here, let me just play it first. This is the timescale 1. This is timescale 2. I don't know if you can tell, but the one on the right is a lot faster. So let's take a look at the last frame. The last frame of the one on the left at 113, the volume starts to disappear. So it starts to disappear right at this frame. The one on the right at frame 81, it's almost all gone. The smoke is almost completely gone. So it's actually going a lot faster because this time scale was set to 2 and the one on the left is set to time scale 1. So it does move a lot faster. It's a larger explosion too. Everything moves a lot faster. This one, it slowly dissipates. Gonna switch this back to 1, which is the default. The temperature diffusion blurs the smoke so that it'll look like the smoke is fanning out or spreading out more thinly. So let's increase this to, I don't know, 10. Let's give it a try. So you can see that it expands like a flower. Blows all the way as a flower. I'm going to change this back to the default. Now, cooling rate lowers the temperature of the smoke, so this will implicitly affect the smoke. So let's lower the cooling rate. The one on the left has a cooling rate of 0.75, which is the default value. The one on the right has a cooling rate of 0.05. So a significantly smaller value for the cooling rate. Now, cooling rate lowers the temperature of the smoke. So lower the temperature, but we have a smaller value for the cooling rate, which results in a higher temperature. I hope that makes sense. Because the smaller the number of the cooling rate, so we're cooling it a lot smaller, less. That means it's higher temperature. So the one on the left is the default. So we can use that as reference. Let me just play it. I'll just play this. Okay, let me just put this on frame 100. And here I'll just go here to frame 100. So you can see that the one on the right with a smaller cooling rate, which means overall higher temperature, it's burned out faster. If we go here, I don't know if you can see at the beginning here, this has a thicker ball that sticks around for the bottom here, has a thicker ball that sticks around for a lot longer throughout the whole animation until it starts to really thin out at the near end over here. As opposed to the one on the right with the lower cooling rate, the ball doesn't stick around. That puff takes out almost everything. That puff right here. And it thins out it makes this bottom part really thin, really a lot with that. It goes up with that puff of smoke. And this dissipates almost instantly. Everything gets carried up. As opposed to the one, or default one, it slowly dissipates. So the cooling, with the lower cooling rate, it increases the overall temperature, and I believe the combustion is burning more. When a fire runs out of things to burn, it will eventually put itself out. Okay, I'm just gonna revert the values back to default for the cooling rate. Now, the viscosity is just how it sounds. It'll make the smoke flow together more like fluid. If you lower the viscosity, the smoke becomes more chaotic due to less uniform motion. On the left is default values. So that has viscosity of 0 as default. The one on the right has the viscosity I set to 10. So we can use to compare. So the one on the right has higher viscosity. And as you can see here, in fact, you can even just stop the flip sim here because I think it's enough. You can see the point. This is very uniform. With higher viscosity, it's very uniform. It's not as interesting either because it just moves together. The whole smoke moves together all at once. We lost all that noise that sort of gives it that detail, that fanning out detail. Those little fins that get spread out here. All that interesting detail, we've lost it. Viscosity moves, makes the smoke move like water. Just gonna close this. So I'm gonna revert this back to default. Now buoyancy. The buoyancy lift is the strength that the smoke will get pushed by the force that is applied by the buoyancy direction. So these two parameters are tightly linked. The buoyancy direction defines the direction in which the smoke will get pushed towards throughout the whole simulation. And what is the strength that we push the smoke towards? That's defined by the buoyancy lift. So as an example, I'm just gonna make this go the opposite direction just for demonstration purposes, and I'm gonna pump this up to like 15. So the one on the left is the default values, and the buoyancy lift was, for default value, it was set to 5 for the buoyancy lift, and the buoyancy direction was just set to the up position, the up direction. As opposed to the one on the right, I have set the buoyancy lift to 15 and the buoyancy direction to -1, so it's going downwards. I also had to increase the bounds on the bottom and pull it lower so it wouldn't, the smoke wouldn't get cut off. So let's play this. So this is the default. This is, I'm just going to time it just right. Okay. So it's pushing it downwards, which could be a nice effect. This reminds me of one of those magic shows where they have a puff of smoke and they disappear through the ground. A character disappearing act. The smoke goes downwards and it spreads out. I kind of like that. So the buoyancy lift and buoyancy direction defines the general force that gets applied to the smoke simulation throughout the entire simulation. So I'm going to revert the values for the buoyancy lift and buoyancy direction. Revert it back to the default value. Normally I would show you a quick preview for the next video, but the next video is still working in progress. This Pyro series took a